India? World champions! Women's ODI World Cup 2025, India's World Cup felt inevitable long before the confetti fell, but destiny still demanded nerve. Under a wash, tin-cooled, DY paddle sky. India stitched together a champion S performance sequel parts ambition, and composer 2 beat South Africa by 52 runs and lift the Women SODI World Cup for the first time. The scoreboard reads 298 for 7th place, 246. The story runs far deeper. The opening set the tone. Shafali Verma walked out with Smriti Mandana, not to survive but to surge, reading swing like a seasoned navigator and stepping into drives that rang off the bat. Kaka's early movement misfired. Cap's lengths searched for help that never quite came. In 8 overs, India were 58 without loss. The stadium humming. Mandana's back cut and cover drive returned from the notebook of favorites, while Shafali's timing felt inevitable 5 boundaries in her first 19 balls. Soon, upgraded to a straight-lifted 6-off de Klerk. When the partnership touched 104, South Africa needed a break, not merely a bend. They found it when Mandana, having tuned the infield, nicked a lick. A reminder that even beautiful gears can slip. From there, the innings became a duel with conditions. Malaba's pace variations and de Klerk's straighter lines squeezed the middle, the surface occasionally holding and asking batters to earn every release. Shafali, cramping but uncompromising, raised her highest ODI score 80-70 off 78 of nerveless intent before perishing in the arc that had fed her best. Jemima Rodriguez, Harmanpreet Kaur, and Amanjot Kaur all found starts without transformation. 2 of them undone by balls that paused just long enough to make good technique look hurried. Ayabonga Haka S redemption was the spell of the innings. After 3-0-2-9-0. Up top, she returned with Yorkers and cutters, conceding 29 in her final 7 and picking off Shafali Rodriguez and late. The dangerous Gosh. Still, India kept climbing. Deepti Sharma, the metronome with a motor, added a runnaball. 58 not flashy, but perfectly weighted, peppered by authoritative slog sweeps and unshowy strike rotation. When Ghosh arrived at 245-4-5 in the 44th, she promptly lofted her second ball for 6, the only batter who truly bullied the old ball through the line. Kaka's last over to Hurlanless, tailing inch-perfect 1, a mini-battle and probably saved 10 runs. De Klerk closed with a tidy final set. India closed on 298, too short of a round number, but, as it turned out, several steps beyond par. Renuka Singh's Nubal spell set the tone of the defense without drawing blood. Her booming in-swing and canny fields forced indecision rather than strokes. And when the first chance came, it required brilliance. Amanjad Kaur, wrong-sided at mid-wicket, pounced and threw down the stumps to catch Tasman Britt's short. 2 overs later, Sri Charani on early 4 grip. Trapanoka Bosch dead in front with one of those Pindi-style lengths that look hittable until the seam stands up. That was 2 down. But it was also Laura Wolvart's night again. Wolvart played like a captain of inevitability. Wrists unlocking leg side gaps. A straight 6-off deep-tee to redraw the field, tempo calibrated to the chase. Luz gave her tempo a partner square and fine sweeps that turned dots into 1s and 1s into 2s on at 50+ for the 3rd wicket. India needed disruption more than containment. They found it in the most unlikely hand. Shafali Farma, owner of 1 ODI wicket in 30 previous appearances, ambled in 2 bowland, promptly made mischief. Her second ball gripped like a slow leg cutter without the flourish. Luz, playing for the orthodox, closed the bat face and offered back the simplest of return. Shafali stayed on, fizzed an off-break that turned enough to brush. Cap Fine caught down the leg, side end, D.Y. Patel exploded. In the span of 8 balls, South Africa's crews had encountered a sandbang. Even then, Wolvart's century charge-balanced head, brutal clarity held the match on edge. Jafta's promotion clogged the gears rather than greasing them. But Anari Dirksen reignited the chase with back-to-back 6s off. Radha Yadav, one of them, a high full toss that brought a no ball and a wince from the fielding captain. Wolvart punished Shafali's 7th over with consecutive 4s, and with 11 to go the equation read 92 steep, but not fanciful for a lineup famous for late ambushes. Deepti removed fancy from the conversation. She returned and produced a Yorker that seemed to arrive from another format, too quick and too true for Dirksen. 1 over later, she turned the screws on Wolvard with a slower ball that dipped just enough to force the big swing off the toe. The mission hung for a lifetime. Amanjot, sprinting from deep mid-wicket, juggled, steadied, and clung on as she fell. The stadium exhaled as if the trophy had changed hands mid-air. 3 balls later, Deepti cross-seamed 1 through Tryon's shot. Umpire's call made it stick. South Africa's last gate had clanged. The tail fought for pride. Nadine de Klerk briefly threatened a heist before probability reasserted itself. Deepti finished with 5-4 39 turn. Dip. Cunning and controlling! All-timer of a spell! On a night that asked for nerve! Shafali added 2-4 36 to her 87. Renuka's numbers were less glamorous than her questions. Saroni's early strike mattered more than its modest total. And India's Fieldenum Jot S run out, and that catch added the Steel champions always seem to carry into finals. For South Africa, Wolvart's 101 off 98 was the tournament's most complete act of resistance. A captain's masterpiece that deserved a different ending. Her 571 runs set a World Cup record, a ledger she wrote in ink while the rest of us ran out of adjectives. Kaka's 3-4 embodied heart and skill. Dirksen's flare-lit cameo reminded everyone why the Proteas are no longer plucky. They're powerful. But this was India's finish line. What separated the sides? India understood the pitch sooner and better with the bat. They banked up-front runs before conditions tightened. With the ball, they hit new ball lengths that denied release, then filled the middle with spin that attacked. Not merely contained, they handled the game's mood swings, Kaka's late chokehold, Dirksen's surge, Wolvart's spell without blinking, and they had Deepti Sharma, the tournament's most complete cricketer, to shut the door. So the montage can finally play Mandana's elegance at dawn. Shafali's audacity at noon. Harmanpreet's steel in the heat. Rodriguez crescendo in the semi-Renuka's new ball questions. Sarani's timely strike. Amanjot's moments of gold and Deepti everywhere. All at once. The years of almost have been traded in for the certainty of a silver cup and a blue ribbon. India are world champions. Not by accident, not by miracle, but by mastery. And if this night felt preordained, it's only because the work was relentless, the belief unshakable, and the finish exquisite.